Hello, everyone. Let me turn the desktop audio on. This time you should be able to hear all the friends.
Good
Um,
morning.
Good morning. Well,
Hello.
happy time zone, wherever it is, wherever you are in the world. I know we have some beans that it's not morning for today. But hi, friends. I have not been here for a hot second, unintentionally. Unintentionally, I have not been here since Monday. But we do have, um, our show today, our Humans of Twitch, when we interview this wonderful human you see here, Kate, who I will let introduce herself in just a couple of minutes. But I'm excited to spend my Sunday morning with you all. I hope you all are having a absolutely wonderful weekend. Um, and before we introduce our guests, I'll let Jupi introduce herself and let you all know what's going on their end of things.
Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Happy Sunday. My name is Jupiter, and I'm so happy to be here with you all today. I use she and they pronouns. I am a Latina creator here on Twitch, an actor and a host, and so honored to continue to co host Humans of Twitch alongside my friend B. You may notice that my setup is a little different today. I just moved across the country and literally just got to my destination very late last night. So I don't have my PC, I don't have anything unpacked, but we're making it work because that's what we do as humans here on Twitch and in the world. And I'm just so excited to be here, and bear with me today as I'm here with you on my iPad.
That's also just so y'all know that's we won't be able to have any captions for Jupiter today. We do our best to always make sure the show is as accessible as possible, but obviously on an iPad there's just simply no way to have like a tab open that's capable of capturing your microphone. So we're doing what we can. We're doing what we can, but you should be able to see Kate and I's comments. Kate, would you like to introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are?
Yes, and like the panic immediately sets in of
I
like,
know.
how do I talk about me?
we've got we've got 2 hours of talking about you, baby.
Right. Hello, everyone. My name is totally Kate. I am a mostly late night streamer. Thinking about changing that up. Who knows? We're just trying to figure out what works best for me and my family and my schedule, and that changes. So right now, mostly late night cozy streamer. I am a new mom. I have a 14-month-old. Yeah, that's pretty much my entire life is mother and sometimes streamer.
Love that. Love that for you. And you're a both baby mama and a fuzzy mama.
Yes, I have a 3-year-old black cat and a beautiful 14-month-old boy.
A full,
Who's like,
beautiful house.
yes. He's like right off screaming, like, what is mom doing? Because I usually try to scream when he's asleep. So he's like, why are you talking to yourself? I don't.
Oh my gosh, that's fair. They're probably like, I'm used to only seeing this happen really late at night. What's going on?
What is time?
I was also giggling before you got on Joopy because both Kate and I are very like yellow today, and I was
Yes,
like, Joopy's gonna be like, no one gave me the memo.
Yeah, we're black, so I still
it's fine.
match.
I'm like, well, B's got some black on too. I've got yellow and black. We all match. It's fine.
We do.
It's a
Hmm.
vibe. Kate is a little quiet. Okay, hold on. I'll see what I can do here.
He's not good.
There you go. I'll just turn you up. All right, friends. Joopy, do you wanna start us off? We're just gonna bounce back and forth, asking you some questions.
Ah.
Your time to kind of shine. Don't feel like like there's no. We have like a list of questions, but um, we never really anticipate like getting through them all. So if there's a topic you feel passionate about and you want to just keep talking about it for a while, like
Right.
don't feel any rush or anything like that. Um,
Absolutely.
we don't really have a very set plan. We just kind of let things flow as they will.
Hey,
And
that's the kind of thing I like.
Yeah.
you'll also learn that B and I love to go on tangents, and it will
Perfect.
happen, guaranteed. So if you at all, go off on a tangent. If you feel passionate about something, go for it. We really think
Yeah,
that's where the magic is, and we just want to hear whatever you have to say.
absolutely.
So I think that you're our first guest. I think that is a parent and a streamer, and I absolutely love that for you. I think that that is wonderful, and there are so many creators on Twitch that I know balance, being a parent and being a
Yeah.
creator and maybe working other jobs, whatever it may be, really balancing all of these things in their life. So for you, what is the biggest challenge of being a new mom and, still being a creator as well?
Trying to find time to do it all. That is probably the biggest thing between when I wanted to start back streaming. I wanted to make sure that streaming did not take away from my son. That was the biggest thing. Is like I've wanted a child for so long. We struggled in conceiving, and now that he's here, like he is my main priority. Streaming is something that I do to help me kind of come back to myself. It's something I really enjoy. It's something that I get to have for me, but he is still my main priority. So trying to find time and keeping a schedule is really hard because we try to do it night after he's in bed. He usually tries to go to sleep between 9 and 10. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Other times he'll be down for an hour and then wake up. So stream has to be canceled because I need to go help with him. And so that's probably the biggest thing for me is trying to find that balance of having somewhat of a schedule, letting people know when I'm going to be live, but also making sure that I'm fully available for my son.
Mm.
Right. Yeah, that sounds very challenging. And I think that, there's something to be said for you obviously putting your family first. I think that that's amazing, and obviously that's what you want to do, but still trying to find that time for yourself I think is so important. Time for
Yeah.
your creativity and to relax and to connect with other adult humans. So
Yes.
good for you. I know that it sounds like it's very difficult, but I think that it's brave, and it's really awesome of you to do that.
Yeah, I mean, because especially with last year, the fact that I didn't see any humans really outside of my family at all, it was really nice to be able to have that. Connecting on Twitter at that time, we started streaming again in January, and just having time to be with people, even though it's a one-sided conversation most of the time. I'm talking, they're in chat, but like it's still, that connection. And it
Right.
made me, be like, I need to do something with my hair today. I'm gonna stream. I want to put on some makeup because I'm gonna stream.
Yeah, just that you time.
Yes.
And some motivation, especially during the pandemic. Sometimes it was
Yes.
easy to just kind of like all the
That's
time.
the whole reason I got bangs last year. I was like, I have to do something with these bangs. I have really curly hair and they'll do crazy things. So I have to get up and find time to do at least do something with these.
That's fair. That's valid. Yeah, I remember I chopped off my hair during the pandemic, and there was a period of time where I was just like vibing, existing, not having to do anything with my hair situation. But now I've got to actually do stuff with it every day.
The
Uh,
struggle, yeah. I chopped mine off, I
Yes.
think, 2 months before the pandemic started. I've just been growing it ever since, and I'm like, wow, I don't think I'll ever chop it off again. But I say that every time that I
yep.
chop off my hair. You know how that goes with
Yeah, we go
having
through this
long hair.
cycle of like,
Yeah,
I want long hair, I really, really do, and then you're like, this is
I
too
gotta
much
chop it
time and
off.
effort. I
This
gotta
is a lot of
chop it all
effort.
off.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yes, yes, yes,
Every
yes.
time, every time.
Sometimes you just want that change, and hair is like the one thing that you can do
Yes.
that's like temporary and relatively easy, and someone can do it for you if you want. So,
And I feel like if you change your hair, like my friend Chloe always says, if a person changes their hair, they're ready to change the world. Like
Mm,
it's a whole new like vibe.
I love that.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yes.
Um, let's see. So it's just I don't know, this is not a question I have written down or anything, but it's very interesting hearing you talk about the struggle of finding balance, because I think that that's something that like everyone struggles with,
Yeah.
unless you're like a full-time content creator, um, which is something that not too many people have the luxury of doing, at least not for
Yeah.
a long time, unless you get very lucky early on in your streaming journey. I mean, of course, it requires some skill, but also it's an algorithm, so there's luck involved with that as well. Um, but something that I noticed that I've seen you talk a lot about on Twitter recently is not only struggling with like necessarily like finding time to make content, but also like what the content should be.
Yes, that is the biggest struggle I think I'm having right now, besides time, is also like having so many amazing, big, beautiful ideas and then just not having the energy to do the thing. And then like I want to make promises because I'm like, oh, if I tell people I'm going to do this, then I have to do it, and then I can't. Um, and I
Avoid it.
know, yeah. So, just figuring out what is going to be the easiest thing for me to create, what is going to be something that I enjoy doing, and kind of finding the marriage between all of it. Because right now there are so many places you can create content, and I still have this like overarching idea of what I wanted Totally Kate to be, but right now I don't have the energy slash capability to make it a reality.
Mm. And when you don't have that full capacity, I think it's hard to figure out. You know you can do it incrementally. You know that
Yes.
like you don't have to have everything figured out immediately.
Yes.
But it's like
And like,
what pieces do I start with?
right. And like I'm a Virgo, so she likes perfection. So
Yes, we do.
I have a really hard time letting go and letting something just be and not be perfect. And so, something I had started doing, and then it was kind of this idea of Spark Saturdays is what I was going to do. And the whole reason behind Totally Kate, I did stream previously under a different name, and that was at the beginning of my streaming journey. And I had a lot of people giving me input, a lot of people telling me what I should and shouldn't do. And so it morphed into this thing that was not me. And I took time off. I tried to restart and it just never felt quite right. So I was like, I'm going to stop streaming when I found out I was pregnant, focus on me and my health. We were a high risk pregnancy. So I was like, I need to fully focus on this journey. And then after he was born, I was like, I want to come back. And I came up with this idea of Totally Kate, which was essentially me being 100% authentically me and doing everything that I've ever wanted to do, that I've either been too afraid to do, that people told me you're not good enough for this, or why do you want to do this? And so that's like the real reason behind the name and what I eventually want to do. And I started implementing that a little bit, with doing something called Spark Saturdays on stream, where I was able to like say, today we're going to learn. We did CC creation. I've always wanted to learn how to create custom content for The Sims. Like for years, I'm like, I want to do this thing. And so it was really cool to start that up and be vulnerable and learn live. And my goal is to hopefully help other people realize, hey, you can do these things too. It's okay to fail. And it's a good like lesson for me. Like letting myself not be seen as perfect. And it was one of the most fun streams that we've had. Um, we did manage to create some eyeliner, or not eyeliner, some eyeshadow for The Sims 4. Needs some work. It was a little bit thick. I need some blending brushes for Photoshop, but we did it, and I got to see something that I created in the game, which was so heckin' cool.
Yeah.
Um, but then kind of again, we were back to not having the time to continue that. And right now, Saturdays are really the only time I can stream, and I don't want to be doing the whole putting myself out there every Saturday. I want to be able to just sit and chill too, and it's a whole like circle right now.
Content is so ever changing, and I think it was Jude who was talking recently about changing their content more to like TTRPGs, and like
Yes.
the only reason I bring that up is because just reading their tweets like really resonated with me in relation to what you're saying, which is just I don't know, like you feel a sense of confusion and guilt when you want to like shift things around or try new things, or it's just like you don't know if you're like being consistent enough with stuff, and so many questions that come to your head, and it
Yes.
can be really hard to just kind of like exist and do the things instead of thinking the things to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's really hard. And, as a fellow Virgo, I empathize with you. I think that I love your concept of Spark Saturdays and like learning live, with your community on stream. I think that's amazing. But
Mhm.
I think we're similar in this way. I don't like necessarily plan things out where I write everything down before streams, but I have a clear picture in my
Yes.
mind how the stream's gonna go, what I'm gonna talk about. If I need to divert to something else, it could be this, like that. That's kind of the Virgo brain, right? Like always having a plan.
A
So
plan
I
and a
think
backup and a backup and a backup and a backup.
exactly,
Yep.
yes, yes. So there's no way that you can just like kind of improv and be vulnerable every single stream. There's no way. So I think trying to find that
Absolutely.
That's
balance
a
is
lot. That's asking you a lot of yourself. Like even
it is.
regardless of just like asking yourself to be that vulnerable every time is beautiful. Um, but it is also probably a big barrier to feeling
Draining too.
comfortable going live, because sometimes we just don't have that. We don't have the spoons for that level of
Oh,
engagement.
absolutely.
But we
Right.
do maybe want to just play some games and chat with people. So
Mhm.
you got to give yourself some space and grace to do what you need to do on stream that day.
Yes. Yeah, I'm hoping that right now I do work a day job, 40 hours a week. I have an hour commute there and back. And so I'm hoping that soon I'm on a list to go work from home permanently. And that's
Good.
been part of the struggle is that used to when I was working remotely, they sent everyone home during the pandemic, and now they brought everyone back. I would be able to still have energy to stream in the evenings. Right now, it's like I just went to therapy for the first time last week, and I was telling her, she was like, "What does your daily life look like?" I'm like, "Okay, I wake up at 6:30. I'm out the door at 7. I'm eating my breakfast on my hour commute to work. I get to work. I work 8 hours. I drive an hour home. I'm a mom for 3 hours before the baby goes to bed, and then I go to sleep." I was like, "That's my Monday through Friday right now." And she was like, "You don't have any room for joy in your life right
Mhm.
now." And I sobbed because I was just
Mm.
like, "Yeah, you're right."
Therapists are good for doing that to you. Just like
Mhm.
stating the
The facts.
obvious that you know, but you're just like having someone else say it. You're like, oh yeah,
Yep. I
mhm.
also told her, I was like, "I feel like I need one day when I just kind of trauma dump on you everything that's happened in the past 2 years." And you go, "Yeah, that is a lot." So I can like be like, "Okay." I was like, "I'm just warning you. That may happen one day. I just need to be like, "Bleh, here's
Yeah.
everything that's going on."
I mean, that's what your
Um,
therapist is for. As long as you're not doing it to your
yes.
friends, I think you're
Oh,
doing fine.
absolutely. Yeah. Me and my friends will actually text each other, and I was like, "Are you in a space to handle events?" And
Yes.
she's like,
Mhm.
"Not right now, but give me like an hour when I get a coffee, and we can go from there." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Yes, yes, that's the way to do it.
Yes.
I love friends who get that, giving you a
Mhm.
little fair warning.
Yes.
Is always good. It's always good.
Yes.
Healthy.
Yeah,
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
I'm like before we move on to any other questions, I just want to say like starting therapy, big step, important, proud of you. That's
Thank
not
you.
easy.
Yeah,
it
it was. She asked me. She was like, "Okay, so why are you wanting to come to therapy? Like, tell me some of your symptoms." And I was like, "Well, I think I've always had high functioning anxiety." And then after I gave birth, it is just anxiety. The high functioning part of me is gone. So I
that's
don't know how
valid.
to deal with any of this.
That's
Oh.
yeah.
that's very valid. That's
Yeah.
very valid. I think that, I'm listening to your life and like going to therapy for the first time. I'm in awe of you, Kate. Like you deal with so much. And I don't mean deal with, but like you have so much going on in your life, being a new mom and like I think that that's like the bravest thing in the world to do is that you can say like, okay, I'm not okay all the time and I need help. I need someone to
Mhm.
help because you are literally caring for a human being and making sure that they have all of their needs met, and like, that is the most important thing in the world. So for you to need a little extra help and just some support, is so valid. And I hope that that can just be maybe a call out to other new moms out there and other people who work full time, have a
Yes,
family, also are pursuing their creative dreams, that it's okay to not have it all together. It's okay to, need a little extra support. And that's totally valid. And it's a beautiful thing, really. That's what it's there for. So
Yeah.
I'm good for you.
oh, thank you.
Oh,
That felt like
yeah.
a warm hug, and I really
Good.
that was really nice.
Good. I'm glad. You
Well,
you you bring so much warmth, and I feel your warmth as well. So like it's very symbiotic here.
mm,
So something that struck me is that, saying that you don't have time for joy in your life right now. So let's dive into that. What is your joy? What brings you joy? What would
Yeah,
you like to add more of to your life to give you that joy? Because that's what we want to celebrate here.
absolutely. It's like you say joy, and the baby like runs into the room. He's like, "I am here. I am the joy."
Oh my
Hi,
god.
baby. Hello.
I was summoned.
Yes, hello. Someone summoned some joy into their life. Look at my face. I think it would be honestly just finding time to focus on those things that I have always wanted to do. And that's one reason like why I wanted to do the Spark Saturday is like, okay, if I tell people I'm gonna do this, I have to do it. If I make it a stream, I have to do it. But it's things like I love cross stitching. I think it's also a very therapeutic thing for my control aspect because if I make a mistake, I have to sit there and think, is my mistake worth undoing the past 30 minutes of work? Or is it okay? No one else is going to know it's there. Only I know it's there. Is it okay to let something be imperfect? That's kind of my journey with cross stitch. Is like it's a oh gosh, like a lesson in imperfection. Like here's a plan, but the plan can change, kind of thing.
That's
So
good for
I
the Virgo brain.
yes, absolutely. It's like here's the exact plan, and you just fill it in. You do the work, but like if it changes, are you willing to undo all of the work you did? And sometimes that answer is absolutely 100%. I cannot live with it. There is a piece I've been working on for 2 years. It's a beautiful Halloween cat. They're on a pumpkin, and I love it, but I made a mistake, and it's going to cause me to undo a whole bunch. So it's not been touched. Um, so finding some time to work in cross stitch. I love reading. I love just creating in general. I've always wanted to explore drawing. I recently took up the ukulele, so like learning a whole bunch of stuff like creatively. Again, going back to the, I was told I'm not good enough at this, or like just like little digs. And I know some people probably experience this where like you tell someone in your life, "Hey, I'm going to do this," and then they do like a little jokey dig like the one that's coming to mind is I wanted to play for my family. I wanted to play the ukulele for my family, and I apologized. I was like, I'm still learning, so my singing voice isn't going to be spot on. And my dad goes, was it ever good? And it's just like, and it was a
Sure.
joke. Didn't mean anything by it. I know he didn't, but like, just those little digs that I've had my entire life of, oh, your sister's better at this thing. Like, she's the artist, she's the musician. Like, you're not, that's not you. Or like, she has the technicality good, but you have the heart. And I'm like, ugh. Those like little digs that I've had
Well,
my
joke's
entire
on them because you can learn the technicality part. So you have both.
absolutely. So, and it's just like those kind of things where like I'm going to be 32 this year, and I realize there's so much that I've not done simply
Mhm.
because of other people telling me things. And like that's kind of what this journey is going to be, is like coming back to myself and figuring out who I am. I was driving home one day and I realized, I was like, wait, you always say your favorite color is purple. You only said that though because there was this girl that you liked and you wanted to like the same things that she did. Purple's not your favorite color. Blue has always been your favorite color. Like, why do you do these things? Or there were things where like a boy I liked classic rock. So I was like, I'm gonna get into classic rock. And like I'm so used to, I'm a chronic people pleaser. I will literally change everything about myself in order to be what they need me to be. Also, eldest daughter, so that's a whole nother thing. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it's like trying to figure out who I am now. Who is Kayt? What is she actually like? You know, who am I outside of mother, sister, daughter, wife? Who am I? What is really part of me and what was something that I just adopted to fit in?
Right.
So
I have goosebumps because
Yeah.
I just think about how I wrote a poem once just about how people really do not realize how those small things that they say can carry with someone for so long. And it
mhm.
is just like such an important reminder to be careful and thoughtful about the words that you use and the way that you talk to people about, specifically about things that they're passionate about or things that they cannot necessarily change. Like the poem that I wrote was about how like I never sing fully anywhere except for in the shower, because every time I would sing in front of my mom, she would say things like don't quit your day job. And it's like she totally, like you said, she meant it as a joke. Like she wasn't trying to make a dig at me or trying to say anything too serious, but especially when it's your parent who's supposed to be
Yeah,
the person who has
Mm-hmm.
your back in pursuing and being who you are.
yeah,
Um, if they don't do it, who's gonna do it? It feels like, and that's not true because I've learned now in life and adulthood, like I've learned um, chosen family, right? And like
yes,
finding your people outside of the family that you were born into. But all that being said, you just brought a little one into the world, so now you're trying to navigate, right? Like your lived
yes,
experiences with. Like as someone who thinks about having kids in the future, my constant thought is like not repeating the patterns, the
yes,
behaviors
breaking
that
that
happened
cycle.
to me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that's also a lot. That's overwhelming too. I feel like you're just facing. I'm very.
Yeah.
I know Jupi said it already, but I'm gonna say it again. It's very impressive to me how many things you're trying to tackle at the same time, both literally like things you need to do, but also a lot of like mental gymnastics you
Mhm.
have to do right now just to get to the place that you want to be in.
Yeah, well, it's like we're trying gentle parenting and things like that. That's like the main path I want to take with him is like, because it's more of uh, I mean, they're children. They don't know how to regulate their emotions yet. They are literally
Mm-hmm.
learning the world, so it's nearly impossible for you to be like, you need to calm down. Like they don't understand what that is. It's a more testing you and control of your emotions. So if a parent is yelling at a child, it's because they can't regulate their own emotions. And so that's really a struggle. I saw a TikTok the other day that
Say it
cracked
again
me
for the
up.
people in the back.
Yeah.
There was a TikTok I saw where it was like this woman sits down and she's like, after a day of gentle parenting, and she was like, I'm fine, and just starts like screaming outside. And I'm just like, yeah, yeah.
I
It's like,
follow a lot of moms on TikTok just like to learn for the future, like
yeah,
obviously it's a long time from now, but I think one of the moms I really love the most is the one that will talk about the moments where yes, she's trying to do the gentle parenting thing, but she messes it up sometimes, right? Like
yeah,
you're a human being too, but like she teaches so much about the value of just going to that kiddo and being like, listen, like I shouldn't have done that. I made a
yeah.
mistake, and I love the way you smile at him. Sorry.
He's doing the
So
cutest,
sweet.
like, smile. Like, my eyes go squinty when I smile. They disappear. It's fine. But, like, he starts doing that too. Like, he'll go, like, And this is the biggest, cutest little smile, and I can't.
So
Yeah.
Oh,
sweet.
I think
yeah,
I
no,
I think
go
it's
ahead.
just like recognizing that like you're a human being too and you're going to make mistakes, but like being willing to say
Yeah.
that, and also like just talking about the hard parts. It's not an easy journey, and like you
Mhm.
talking about how much anxiety you had after your pregnancy and how that has kind of like changed you as well, and like
Yeah.
they just don't we don't as a society by and large create enough space for moms to struggle after having a whole baby. Like
Yeah, I
Hmm.
was I was really shocked. I've had some friends who've recently had babies, and I was like, listen, like they don't teach you anything. They literally send you home. Like after I gave birth, I was not physically checked on once. And that blew my mind. Like they were checking on the baby and they're like, we're gonna press on your stomach to make sure your uterus is like going down, but like physically there was no other like examination that went on with me and I was just sent home. And I was like, what? Like I just pushed a
Wow.
whole human out and like the amount of aftercare that I received was shocking to
mm,
me. And so I'm trying to like warn my other mom friends, be like, hey, so they don't teach you anything.
yeah.
Learn as much as you can beforehand and just don't be shocked. Like, this was something else. Another big idea, dream that I've wanted to do is do like a mommy podcast type thing where I talk about my struggle and talk about like, because I have PCOS. And so it was a huge struggle to get pregnant. And then once we were pregnant, I was high risk because of my age, weight, all that lovely stuff. Um, and then he also was high risk, like he had some issues. And so being able to share all of that with other moms and be like, hey, it's a lot, especially right now. Like my pregnancy journey was not what I thought it would be. I wanted my mother to be with me in the delivery room because hello, like first time you want your mom. Um
Hmm.
I wasn't allowed to have that. We gave birth in May of 2020. So like that was peak pandemic. It was only myself and my spouse in the room. We had to wear masks the entire time. Um, that's
Okay,
another.
trooper. You have to wear a
Yeah.
mask having a baby?
Yeah,
That
that's my
should be illegal.
rebuttal to people when they're like, "I don't want to wear a mask in a store." I'm like, "Listen,
Listen here.
listen. I literally brought life into the world wearing a mask. You can wear it for 15 minutes to go pick up some potatoes, okay?"
Period.
That's it.
So
Kate with the facts.
Kate with the mic drop.
yes.
That's it. Show over. Bye, friends. Gotta go.
So like that's something else I've wanted to do is like talk about like my struggle with parenting and navigating it because like even after birth like he had to have surgery at like a month old on some issues he had and he had some kidney issues. He had to wear a helmet for no fault of our own. Like it was just like literally the first 6 months of his life we were at a specialist or a doctor like every other week. Had to do physical therapy, had to do all of this stuff, and like on top of not being able to have my friends around me for support, rough.
Yeah. I think that a podcast would be, I mean, yes. I mean, I just learned so much in the last 2 minutes of you telling us, I think like, I feel like the dream of like having a family and then having a child and going home with your child like it's so beautiful and amazing, but
Mhm.
is that realistic for everyone? It doesn't sound like it, right? Because you the mom are going to have to deal with whatever health you're at when you have the child, and then also the new baby, who knows what they might be dealing with. They're their own person, so there's a lot of variables there, it sounds like.
Mhm.
Well, and
And
with
then
the
And
United States healthcare system too,
yeah,
and
horrible.
it costs a lot of money, and then also
mhm.
like having a child costs so much money, and then also like the parents aren't given like a lot of time off before or after the baby is born,
Yeah,
and
oh my
so
gosh, yes.
yeah, like you it's not even like you can lean into your partner because they a lot of
Mhm.
times in a lot of cases have to go back to work.
Yeah,
Hmm.
luckily with everything, he was still home. He got 2 weeks off fully. He took vacation, and then he was still working remotely. So yeah, he was indisposed at some points, but he was still actually in the home for the majority part, you know. And then I was talking to one of my friends who's Canadian about what my
That's
what my
called self
maternity
torture,
leave.
Kate. That's called self torture. Talking to your international friends about
Yes.
parenting and breaks and jobs and health
Yes.
insurance.
And he was just like, so what do you get? And I'm like, well, technically I only get 6 weeks and 4 of those weeks are paid. And even though, and that's only a partial payment based on how long I had been with the company. So I took 3 months and only 2 weeks of vacation I used for the first part. And then the remaining part of the 4 weeks was a partial payment. And then the rest of the time I was off was completely unpaid.
And man, you work a full-time job.
Yeah.
Like, let's think about the moms who work like a part-time job
Yeah,
in like
and don't have
retail
any of
or
that.
like fast food service or any of the service industry who probably
Yeah.
get nada when
Nothing.
they
Yeah.
take time
It
off.
would be like the 6 weeks because that's what you're mandated to have to heal from pushing a baby out, or from having a C-section you get 8 weeks because you had major surgery. Your organs are literally taken out of your body. Yeah, ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
I have a lot of thoughts and feelings on that.
I learned the most about like giving birth and babies and all of that, not from high school health class, but when I went to and not from my parents for whatever reason. But when I went to university, I took a course on like an indigenous history course specifically on like indigenous women and like their and you learn so much about the history of our medical system and how we like have warped what like having a baby should look like. Like first of all, do you
Yeah.
for our friends at home, do you know the only reason you lay down to have a baby is to make
oh my God.
is to make it easy for the doctor to access like
There's this whole thing.
you're not supposed to lay down.
No.
There's the reason that we have so many birth complications. Jupiter, it's gravity. You're not using gravity to your advantage when you're laying down on a table in
Actually, let me just blow your minds really quickly. I'm pulling it up to make sure I'm correct. The whole reason that this started, also, yes, it does give the doctor easier access, but King Louis wanted a good view.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
that's where it came in. He
Yep.
wanted to be able to watch his
Yep.
women give birth and wanted the best view, and that's part of the reason it started, is so a
Yep.
man could have a better view of his birthing process.
Yep.
Oh my.
And then you could talk about
Yes.
the stupid, it's more than stupid, but I can't even, the husband stitch that happens to women. Do you know about that?
I feel like I've heard of this, but I
Kate's like
I'm unknowledgeable about a lot of this. So
Yeah,
please feel free to
literally,
explain.
there were, I mean, sometimes husbands or partners will jokingly say, when you're, if the woman tears while they're giving birth, they may say, "Can you throw an extra stitch in there, so it's a bit tighter?"
Oh my god.
like a stitch that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah,
And it doesn't make
extra
any
stitch.
sense because it's based on the premise that like everything becomes, I don't even know if this is TOS, but it's based off of the premise that everything becomes like loose. It's a fucking muscle. It all tightens back up eventually anyways. Like this is how biology works.
Tell them, B.
Feelings. I didn't know this is where this was gonna go, but I mean, here we are.
Wait, truly, we never know. Kate, we never know where these things are gonna go.
Magic.
But I do think people need to learn because I don't think
Yeah.
very many people realize how fucked up American birthing practices are.
Yes.
And I don't know how they are in other parts of the world, so I can't speak to that. But they are very
Right.
messed up
Well,
here.
it's like they've started charging for so many extra things, like wanting skin to skin for the first little bit after birth. Some hospitals are charging for that now. You can you can look at your itemized thing and it's like, oh, they charged you extra because you wanted your baby on your skin for the first like 45 minutes. That's the golden hour of
That should be illegal.
right? wanting, they charge you for you wanting to cut the umbilical cord, or for wanting to leave it attached, like until it, like, okay, so big feelings, big thoughts. When the baby is born, the placenta should ideally stay attached to the baby for several minutes right after birth, because they are still getting their blood supply from the placenta. Like, there are still nutrients that they need. So you're supposed to wait until the placenta goes limp, and then you can cut the cord, because then they've gotten everything that they can get. I think it's something upwards of like 70, they get like 72% of like their iron and stuff from the placenta. And so like now, like I told my doctors, I was like, I want to wait for the cord to be cut until it is limp. And I don't know if that happened, because I just gave birth, but that's what I wanted. But I know sometimes some places are like, no, we're going to charge you a little extra for waiting that extra time, because they want to go and they want to take care of the baby, and they want to weigh them and stick them and all this stuff.
Oh, I think this just really, I mean, obviously speaks to like such an even larger issue of just like, continually how women are treated in this country and regarded. And it's
People who give birth.
horrifying because obviously, you are bringing life into this world. You are helping repopulate our planet and like doing all these things that are so necessary, like bringing humans in that are going to, contribute to our society and be amazing little people. And it just is so it hurts, it's horrifying and it hurts.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that you have had to deal with those. I won't even call them microaggressions. I mean, it's just hateful, honestly.
Yeah. Well, like when we went into the hospital, like they were asking me questions. They were like, give me your intake information. I'm in active labor. I'm like, my partner is right here. Why are you asking me these questions? Like, I originally, plans change. That's a big thing too for anyone who's wanting to go through.
That was probably the ultimate test of your ability to deal with plans changing.
Yeah, plans change. And you have to be open to not having the birth that you visualized. I originally was going to do an unmedicated birth. I was going to do, I had taken a 8-week-long course in hypnotherapy and learning how to control pain and putting yourself into this state of mind where like you can shut down unessential feelings essentially in parts of your body, only leaving the essential up. And I mean, it was really cool because during the class, they asked your partner to squeeze your arm as hard as they could while you were in this state of hypnosis. It's like I felt like a little pinch, and then you came out of it, and they said, okay, squeeze their arm again just as hard as you just did. And like, I turned around shocked because it was literally like he was trying to like grab my arm off. So like it was working, and like I was doing okay. I was handling it all right. We get to the hospital. They ask me all these questions. They throw me completely off my game. I'm no longer not allowed. I'm no longer able to be in that zen state. And so I wound up going with an epidural because I was like, I didn't have any sleep the night before. I'm not going to be able to do this. So I was like, epidural. And like when we got there, I was expecting them to be like, you're like at a 6, which that's your how much you're dilated. They checked me and they were like, you're at a 3. And I'm like, yes, epidural. I at a 3 can't handle it. Let's go.
I think being a first-time mom too, recognizing that you don't know what you're going to be up for in that moment. I also think so many of these conversations for me bring up this idea of like consent, because it reminds me the way that doctors will, in your state of distress, ask you to change your plan really bothers me, because I made a plan that I designed when I was in the right frame of mind to be making a plan. And it's like, now you're asking me to consent to something different when there's a power differential, right? Like you obviously, there's a lot to ask someone to decide and not feel pressure. I mean, we talked about being a people pleaser too. Like so many of us, we just.
Fun story real quick. I wish I had kept track of how many times I said I was sorry while I was in labor. I would sit there and be, having to vocalize because hello, baby. And then afterwards I would go, I'm sorry. And they're like, honey, you're having a baby. And I just like, I'm sorry. So I couldn't get a stick to get an IV, and I apologized to them. I'm like, yeah, that's a problem.
That's fair. I could see that. I could see myself doing that. I get that.
Mhm.
It's not great, but I get
They're like,
it.
you're fine, and I'm like, I still feel like I need to apologize. And it got to the part where like I'm needing to push, and they're like, you weren't ready yet, and I'm like, I can't stop this. I'm sorry. I feel the need to push, and I'd go, I'm sorry. I can't. I have to. I'm sorry. So yeah.
uh, lots lots to unpack there with the ways
Yeah.
that women are taught to.
Make themselves small and all of that good stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. And also just like have to be okay with change in your most raw state. Like, like you were there experiencing something very visceral, like probably the most visceral thing like a human can experience. And like you are reacting naturally to everything that's happening around you. And so like you're being asked so much during that time. It's just like so unfair. I'm just constantly in awe of women. Really. And thank you for sharing that. I know that might, I think that these things are often like not talked about a lot because it seems like, oh, that's gross, or
Taboo.
like we don't taboo. Exactly. But it's like this is a very normal, natural thing that a lot of women are going through, and their spouses, of course.
But if you have a uterus, you can't talk about anything that happens.
No, it's like not allowed. And
No.
why? These things should be more normalized. So I hope you start that podcast because I know that
I'm gonna do the thing.
Do the thing.
I'm gonna do the thing. Let's
do the thing. And you know what? If you ever like, I was thinking about this, and you do, whatever platform makes sense for you too, but it can be stressful trying to figure out all these different spaces to like split yourself into. You also already have this beautiful platform that you've built. Like, talk about your things when you want to talk about your things with your space. I know sometimes it feels weird because it's like, well, it didn't happen today. It's not like, but if that's what you want to talk about, then talk about it. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. We do go on some tangents sometimes when I stream where I'll talk about like this, or we'll go on social justice stuff, and I'm like, I know we're playing The Sims, but like I have a thing to say, and I'm gonna say it.
Same. All the time. Yes. I love doing a little ranty rants on stream.
Absolutely. And I'm like, I don't know how we went that way, but we went that way, and that's what happened. And I said what I said. And then, all right, now back to the 100 baby challenge.
Seems relatable, to be fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
relatable.
I love that. So I've absolutely, and if you have any more questions before I do anything, but I think there's like this balance between I love hearing about your experience as a mom, and especially as a new mom, and all the challenges you face, but also, right, I don't want to spend your whole 2 hours talking about being a mom, because you are, I think that happens to new moms a lot, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they are your life. Like, if someone asks me something, like literally at work, I'm introducing myself to new trainees. I'm like, I'm a mom. That's my whole personality right now. I'm a mom.
Yeah. But you're also a Kayt.
That is true.
Yeah. So, one of the questions that I had for you, and it kind of relates to what we were talking about a little bit before, which was, you working this job 40 hours a week, and it is something that you mentioned in your description, but also is evident in some of the reflections you make online. Not in an ideal situation for you at the moment. No. And so I wanted to ask you kind of like what about it isn't working for you, and how has like streaming, because you kind of said streaming sort of helps you cope with the fact that it's not ideal for you for right now.
Absolutely. So in my day job, and I've never been lucky enough to experience having a job where I'm either loved by the employees, hated by the management, loved by the management, hated by the employees, or just loved by the customers and everyone else hates me. I
Mm.
never had that experience of like a good workplace environment ever since I started working at 16 years old. I don't know if it's me or what it is,
It's
but
not you.
Existing under capitalism, that's what it
Yes,
is.
I've
of course. It's
never
not you.
had that good experience. And so, one thing that I want to do with my life when I sit down and it kind of boils down to, I just want to help other people. I want to, if that's making someone smile, if that is being a listening ear, like that's what I want. I feel like I am great in a giving aspect. I love to give of myself to others. That's just who I am as a person. Now I need to learn the boundaries of enough is enough. That's
Hmm.
a whole nother topic and a work in progress. But with my day job, it's a lot of giving and not a lot of payoff. I give to
Mhm.
these people, I give to my boss, I give to these employees. Like at one point, I was doing my job plus training new associates, plus planning food days to celebrate birthdays, plus planning or decorating people's desks for their birthdays, planning baby showers, doing all of this stuff, and never really ever got told thank you. And so it got to the point where I was like, I can't do the food days, I can't do the desk, it's too much. I need to like step back. And then I think the part, and I'm going to try not to cry, I have been with this company for 7 years and I've been training new associates. And I literally built a training manual from scratch. It did not exist before I started training. I literally, when I was trained on what happened in the moment. And if it didn't happen, I didn't get trained on it. Or I was told, what does that mean? I'd ask what something was, and I was told it didn't matter. I was like, before, if I'm going to do this, again, Virgo, hello, there has to be a standard of procedure. I need to touch on every single thing these people could potentially
Some
see. And,
consistency in the training for
yeah,
each trainee.
and then have something they can reference back, because what would happen is these people would get trained and they go out on the floor and then they would have no point of reference to find the answers for themselves. So I
Mm.
would constantly be asking, well, what do I do here? Well, what do I do here? And that's fine. That's what I'm there for. But I also would like them to be able to look for it themselves. So I created this from scratch, right?
Mhm.
So whenever the pandemic happened, or right after I had a child, I I decided that I no longer wanted to work in the office. There was an option to work remotely for quite a while. And I was like, there's no point. I live like 3 minutes from here. No worries. I'm just gonna like, why would I want to work from home? I got to work from home and I was like, ooh, that's quite nice.
Yes, it
I was
is.
like rolling out of bed 3 minutes before I have to clock in, just power on the computer in my PJs. Yeah, I like that.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Hmm.
and I told my boss, I was like, hey, this is what I want. And I was told essentially that I had to choose between my leadership, which is leadership. It's not really a true title. It's just I have all these responsibilities and no actual title. I had to
Mhm.
choose between that and working remotely. So I had to choose between taking a pay cut but getting to work from home, or or staying in this position that is not bringing me any joy and having to drive an hour every day.
Mm.
Wow, that's
Um,
So
unfair.
like a very impossible decision, basically.
yeah, and I even was like, well, what if I did like a half and half schedule? Would it be possible for me to work in the office 3 days and just work at home 2 days a week?
Hmm.
Because right now my baby wakes up at 7. I have to be out the door at 7. Sometimes I'm not seeing him for the first time until 6:30 at night. He goes to bed at 8. And
Hmm.
that's why I
Mm.
pour so much into those last few hours, leaving me no time for anything for myself because I only have, I'm gonna cry, oh my God.
It's
That's
Okay.
okay.
I only have those 3 hours with him. And
yeah, that's not enough
no, it's like I didn't have a baby just to see him for a
to
few hours
work.
a day. No.
Yeah,
And I hate it. I hate it so much. It's not fair.
Mm-mm.
And
it's
a
not
lot of
fair.
things people are like, well, that's just the way it is. I'm like, but why? Why does it have to stay that way? Just because that's the way it is now And so many people in this generation don't get to be home with their kids. Why does it have to stay that way? And
Mhm.
that's why I'm so proud of this generation who's like under me, who is questioning this, who's questioning the very, you know, pillars our society is built on, being like,
Mhm.
but why?
Mm.
Why does it have to be this way? And I hope for, I don't know if it'll change in our lifetimes, but I do see change coming. I
Mm.
think this younger generation is not going to settle, which
Mm-mm.
is amazing.
We're
And
I mean we're seeing it already.
yes,
There's mass walkouts
walk
at
out. Yes.
companies,
Oh,
qu- people do not stay in jobs that they don't like anymore. My parents heckle me all the time because I have bounced around in the last couple of years a
yeah,
lot. But I won't do it. I can't. Like, I have
yeah.
seen the way that working at a company you hate, where you're mistreated for years, and just like dealing just like slowly destroys your spirit. And
Absolutely.
I like who I am as a person, and I don't want to let like a
Yeah.
company destroy that for me. But it's
It's
really
insane.
hard because I feel like we're all feeling bold enough to not like exist in the system that we're given, but no one knows what the
That's
alternative is.
right. Yes. And that's
Um,
like for me, if I were younger, if I didn't have a responsibility, a huge responsibility to my child, I would be out. I would say, you know what, screw it, full time content creation. Let's give it a shot. But unfortunately, right now,
Not everyone has
I
that luxury.
no, and like we bought a house last year in the middle of a pandemic too, a whole nother thing.
Mm.
Closed on the house the
You
month
did
before the
all
baby born.
you did all the big things in the heart of a
Yes,
pandemic.
I was literally like, I really want a baby, I really want a house. And the universe said, all at once, plus put it on hard mode. And I was like, no, 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 no.
But let me tell you, Kate, the fact that you want to propose the question why is society like this, why do I have to work full time in an office and try to be a full-time mom, that is so important. And even though you're not maybe able to say, you know what, I'm leaving this job, because you obviously have a responsibility, you're taking care of your family, you're an amazing mom, the fact that you are willing to be brave enough to ask that question and to support other people who are able to say, you know what, no, I'm quitting my job, or no, you know what, no, I want to work from home, or I don't want this job. Like, the
Yeah.
fact that these conversations are being had is all part of this change that is occurring. So like,
Mhm.
don't be too hard on yourself, really, because like, you are part of this change. And I mean, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, we weren't even asking these questions. We didn't
No,
even think it was a possibility that everyone could work from home, or that a lot of
right.
people can work from home. And now we're seeing that it is possible, and we're seeing that, yes,
Mhm.
moms and dads and parents should be able to work from home if they have kids. And yes, if you're
Yeah.
unhappy at a job and you're able to completely and successfully still do that job from home, why do you have to go work in an office? What's the point,
Right.
you know? So like, this change is occurring, you know?
Mhm.
I wish it could be instant for everyone. I
Yes.
really do. Like, I just quit my job because they wanted me to come back to the office, and I said no.
Hell
And
yeah, let's go.
and I'm, you know, really thankful that I'm in a position that I'm able to do that. I know not everyone is, but this change is happening, whether these companies want it or
Yeah.
not, whether our society wants it or not. It is changing, and
Mhm.
it is going to be better for future generations,
Yeah.
you know? So
I
like, just
did
know you're part of that.
I did tell my boss, it's not happened yet. I did tell her, I was like, okay, I want to give up the position. Like, I don't want it. I want to go home, and that's a
Yeah.
possibility. The only thing that after that, she kind of went, oh, well, I don't know who's going to take your place. And I'm like, that's a you problem. You've let me do
Dang
so
right.
much for
Oh
so
my
long.
gosh, yes. I saw this TikTok where this woman was like, when you quit your job, like you don't really owe the company anything, but you should give them
Right.
like your 2 weeks notice, and you should like give that. And this guy stitched it, and he was like, that's old. Like, that, we're over that at this point. Like, people have
Mhm.
been so mistreated that it's not that the younger generation, like, leaves their job on a whim to be disrespectful or, like, you know, but it's because you, essentially, you have not earned that kindness from me on my end of things to give you the
Mhm.
time. If you were respectful to me and I need to part ways for my own reasons, of course I will give you like the
Absolutely.
time to transition and find someone new and do all of the
Mhm.
right things. But if you are manipulative and abusive and awful to me, I don't owe you anything. I'll see you
Right.
late. My last job, there was a terrible interaction on Thursday. Thursday night, I wrote a letter of resignation and I said, I will not see you again. Good luck Monday morning. Have fun. It's
Wow.
it's been wonderful, but that's not what I said. I did not say it's been wonderful. But you know, I basically told them, I was like, I was new here. You did not set me up for success. I felt like I was headed on a trajectory to, everybody in the company was incredibly unhappy. And I was like, I can see what the next few years looks like by looking at your employees who have been here for the last few years. I don't want that. So I will see you later. Good luck.
Right.
And you might want to fix some of these things, or you're never going to retain someone in this position.
Yeah. My mom is very much like, when you do leave, you need to write a letter and tell them exactly why you're leaving. And I'm like, but it's not going to change anything. Like, this is a
Mm-hmm.
big corporation. Like, it's not going to change anything. It doesn't matter. I just need to get out.
Right.
And
Basically,
most of the time, I feel like we try our best to communicate those things while we're in the company,
yeah,
and you don't hear us, and it's like, okay,
yeah.
like, why
I
do you only listen when someone's gone?
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, it's
Why?
like
Yeah.
I told my boss I was overwhelmed last week. I was like, "Hey, I'm overwhelmed," and she was so shocked. She was like, "What?" And I'm like, she was like, "Why are you overwhelmed?" I'm like, "I've been training new associates for 4 months almost solidly." I'm like, "I am a very introverted person naturally. Like, I can be extroverted, but I definitely have to have time to recharge. And training requires me to be on 100% of
Mhm.
the time, and it's been like 4 months." I was like,
That's
it's
a
just
lot.
yeah, and they were just like, I can have someone else train this new person. And then of course my people pleasing's like, no, 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 I can do it. I just need like one day to like do my regular job. But like
Mhm.
it just like it stinks that like they don't realize, they don't check in on their people. They're not like,
They don't realize
hey,
how much bravery it takes for the person who's not in power to go to the person in power and say,
yeah,
listen, like, I need this to be different.
right,
Um, versus like checking in. It's like when you have a friendship where it's like, I know I can come to you, like, I know you say that, but it's really a different feeling, and it's really nice when someone says, hey, like, I noticed you seem a little bit off. Is there anything? And it's like, oh, like,
right.
I didn't have to.
The door's open. I can just step through now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we, I think, inherently don't like to burden other people with our problems.
Mhm.
I know I, for one, would much rather suffer in silence and then just completely break down rather than admit I need help.
Me too.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like,
right
no,
there with you.
I will let myself explode before I admit that I was not okay. And like one thing, like this is gendered language, which I don't like, but there's this book that I was reading the other day that's like called Breaking the Good Girl Myth, where it's like essentially you're taught to be like, if something happens that you don't like you get an unwanted advance, you're supposed to be like, oh, well, I'm flattered, but no, like that's your first instinct to be nice, to let that person down nicely, or to think of the other person's feeling. And that's something that I'm trying to really break. It's like, if I don't feel that way, why is my first instinct to say that? Like, no, like
Mhm.
I don't want that. No, thank you. Like,
I feel that in the content creation world sometimes. Like, sometimes
yeah,
I'm just mad about something and, like, want to speak about it, and then I'll get like one comment. Like, I always get the, like, whenever I say something in the slightest bit of frustration, I always get at least one person who's like, I agree with you, but I think more people would listen if you were nicer about the way that you said that.
Oh.
um, I made a comment. Yeah, and that happened to me recently, and I was like, this is why y'all don't get Spicy B on Twitter because the people cannot handle it. They are like, if I have the slightest bit of anger or frustration in my tone at all, like,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like, but you should just be nicer, and I was like, I don't think I should be nicer to transphobes or people who are like bigots.
Absolutely that.
Um, but they don't see themselves that way, they see themselves as maybe ignorant, and so it's
Right.
just like,
It's not
oh,
your job to educate them.
and
They have Beyonce's internet. They can
can
do
we get
the damn
some
thing.
can we get some Google is free emotes in
Google
chat?
is free. Google is
um,
free.
it's just it's hard though because
Yeah.
I feel like that also comes specifically from a place of being a femme. Specifically,
Mhm.
like we are not allowed to not allow, but it feels like if we don't paint everything as like this, like rainbows and
Yes.
butterflies, if you
Hmm.
could, maybe you could do not be a
Pretty
transphobe.
please, right?
Pretty
Yeah. Hmm.
please. I feel like it's the only way
With
I'm
some
allowed to
sugar on top.
like
Yep.
frame that and have it be received.
Yeah.
So it's just it's hard realizing, especially as a people pleaser, right?
Yeah.
Content creation is gonna smack you in the face with the idea that you cannot make everyone happy. Like of
Yes.
many
Mhm.
career
Whew.
paths, I feel like this is one where you are going to have to learn very quickly that you cannot
Yes.
make everyone happy and you have to step into your own truth.
Hmm.
And if that means that some people leave along the way, that's okay because you're cleaning house and making space for someone else who is aligned with your space and what you believe in.
A big
Right.
thing that I've been learning too is I cannot control other people's perceptions of me. I cannot control other people's feelings as much as I may want to because that's the nature of a people pleaser is again changing every aspect of you to make that other person happy and comfortable and you just can't do that. There's always going to be someone that doesn't like you. Like in my past, there was a girl in elementary school who hated my guts so much to the point that she wanted to beat me up and like through our entire school career hated me for no reason. I bet to this day she would still hate me. But it's like, it's just there's you don't like everybody. So why
Mm.
is everyone gonna like you? And that's a hard
Yes.
pill to swallow
That's
as someone
another
who
important lesson in content creation. You do not
yes.
have to like everyone. You don't have to be mean.
No,
Right.
but you
Please.
don't have to let them in your space.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yes. And then like another thing that's really hard, just like and I struggle with this daily is the fact that any form of content creation is constantly shoving how you are performing in your face.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that, I have a huge problem with that. Like I hide my numbers when I'm live. I try not to look at it. Like right now, I have your stream pulled up, but I have something over the number. I don't want to see it. Um, but then I in stream and Twitch and Streamlabs or Stream Element sends me an email being like, "Oh, you had 100% more chatters tonight." I'm
Fun
like, "Get
fact, you
out!"
you can unsubscribe from those
I
emails.
I know, but like still, like I hate like how it
Do
is.
the thing, Kate.
I will.
Unsubscribe from the emails.
Yes, 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 I will.
Take care of yourself. But I do
Yeah, or
understand there is no way to avoid it 100% because even when you
yeah,
raid, it tells you. And obviously, that's not the correct number of people who are there. It's whoever came with you on the raid. But it gives you a gut
an
instinct
idea.
of.
Yeah.
There's like not truly a way to stream without metrics at
Yeah.
all, and that
And like
is annoying.
and then like for me personally, like I had some not so uplifting tweets that I made last night. And then you see your number of followers immediately go down and you're like,
Mm.
and now I feel like I can't be authentically me. And last night was very bad brain. It was
Mm.
not a good night. And I just, I don't want to, I've been in that toxic positivity mindset before because that's what I was told I had to be by other people around me on the old channel. And like I'm like, I don't want to do that because like you can't be happy all the time. One of the tweets I did do that I liked was like, even sunny days have rain. Like it can be sunny and beautiful and it can still rain.
Hmm.
Um, but like that also hurts to like see that number. Like even though it's just a few, like trying to, I guess, separate yourself from numbers meaning value is a
Hmm.
huge struggle, and I think so many of us struggle with it. I'm glad to see more people are talking about it now. Twitch 2 years ago is completely different than Twitch now, and I'm so
Hmm.
thankful because people are talking about like big creators, big, with air quotes, but larger people on the platform are talking about how they still get affected by numbers, and I think that's really important for a lot of like new people to streaming to see, um, that like everyone gets affected by it.
Yeah. I
They
think it,
do.
it helps not create this false sense of security that people think you'll get at some point.
Oh
Like,
yeah, no.
yeah.
That purple check mark is not like a check mark to Easy Street. That is not
Mm-mm.
what that is.
No, and yeah, I think that's so interesting to me because I obviously have only been on this platform for 9 months, so you've obviously seen it through a lot more of its eras
Yeah.
than I have.
Yes. Yeah, it was, I mean, there was very much like, and it still happens, but like Twitch 2 years ago, like no one talked about anything. Like there wasn't a lot of resources for someone starting out, that you just kind of did what everyone else did. And like that was the only way it could be done. And like no one really talked about numbers or the fact that like if you are a bigger streamer, like you're still not making a whole lot of money. Like you have this idea of this person has made it because they have this many subs, but like there's other things that go into it. And so hearing other people now talking about mental health and how streaming affects their mental health, and not being afraid to say, you know what, I'm not streaming for a month, here's another way to support me if you'd like it's so different. Hello.
Mm,
My cat just
Mhm.
popped in. It's so different than it was
that's good.
2 years ago. So
I think I feel like I hear two important lessons here because I think this is something that all of us struggle with that are creators on Twitch. And one is that numbers do not define you.
no.
That's something that I have to tell myself daily doing content creation is that, I, like you, Kate, I try to turn all of my numbers off where I can. Yes, they do creep in still because everything in life is tied to numbers. I'm learning as a human being, which is just something that I try to like not think about too much because it stresses me out.
Hmm.
But numbers do not reflect who you are. They do not define you. It's important to remember that whether you are an affiliate, whether you are a partner, whether you've been on the platform for years or just a few months, the flux in viewership and the changing of the world and everything, it affects everyone. It really,
Yeah.
really does,
Hmm.
and it's sometimes hard for me. I feel like we can take it really personally, and feel like, oh, this is only affecting me, and
Hmm.
my friends are gone or they're too busy for me or whatever. But it truly is affecting everyone, so like we're
Hmm.
not alone in this. And
Yeah.
I know it's hard to remember that, but Twitch has changed so much over the years. I mean, Twitch has been around for a long, long time. I think some people fail to realize this who are new to the platform, but the pandemic like brought in a whole new generation of Twitch users, both viewers and creators,
Yes.
which I think was amazing for the platform. I think it's what it needed to have maybe some
Hmm.
not so hardcore gamers or not people that grew up on the internet, people that are queer, people that are passionate about mental health and want to bring more of that to the platform and all these different things. So Twitch has changed a lot for the better, certainly. But we just have to give ourselves some grace because,
Yes.
Twitch is constantly changing. We are constantly
It's so
changing the
much bigger than
world.
us.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much bigger
Hmm.
than us, and so much is out of our control, as we know with everything happening in the world. Um,
Yeah.
so just a reminder that we are in this together, and even though it sucks that everything's kind of tied to numbers,
Hmm.
that doesn't mean you or your content are bad or are
Hmm.
not what the world wants or whatever.
Hmm.
It's all a balancing act. It really, really is.
One of my friends, Jen is online, was doing some like TikTok type stuff, and she was showing that you should go back and look at like 3 months worth of your numbers. Do not focus on the daily. Do not focus on the weekly. Don't even focus on the month. Look at the 3 months. Look at your hills and your valleys. And if you had higher peaks and streams, what were you doing? And like she showed hers and she was like, these were charity streams. So maybe it's time for me to do another charity stream, because that's kind of the where I'm looking at. I was like, that is such good advice because we are so focused on especially like with partnership or looking at that, like those numbers are in your face on your dashboard. They're like, here's where you are for the last 30 days. And I'm like, get out.
Yeah.
I do not care. And I think it was hard too, like coming back to streaming. I started back in January where everything was pretty much shut down. So I did see like a higher spike in numbers than I ever had on my old channel. I was like, wow, I'm closer to a partner than I'd ever been. And like, that's not an end goal for me, but it was still cool to see. And then things start opening up and like you see that big dip and I'm just like,
for those of us who got really close right when this crashed, that was hard. And I think there's space for that to be a truth. I think on the contrary to like numbers don't define us, I also always want to make sure people realize that like there is space to talk about that and be frustrated. I think either direction is like not healthy. To talk only about numbers, to worry only about numbers, to attach
and
your
to
self
never
worth,
talk about it.
and then to never talk about it also creates this energy of like I'm the only one struggling with this. So
yes, and that's what I love about like that's one thing I would say to anyone who is wanting to get into streaming. Like find a good core group of streamer friends that you can like trust and talk about things with. I think that would be really helpful because I was so alone in the beginning, and then I would talk to my community about it, but then they would be like, certain people who are no longer in the community were like, well, you're only focusing on this now. And I'm like, but you're my mods. I wanted to share my frustration with you, but they thought that what they were doing wasn't enough. So like finding some people that you can
your
talk
community
to.
isn't necessarily gonna understand.
Right. And
so
so
we don't see it from that streamer point of view,
Right. So finding a group of people to talk to these struggles about that are doing the same thing that you are, I think is very important.
Yeah.
Especially if you're just starting out.
Having, I think, and you both hit it on the head, is like having people that will validate your feelings, because it's okay to be upset about numbers. It really is, like I think finding that balance is so important. But like if you've had some lower numbers, whatever, it's okay to be upset about that, and it's okay to try and figure out how to maybe mitigate that and figure out how to get back on an upward
it's a tool.
spike, or just get back on a consistency level. So just having people that will support however you're feeling and tell you like, it's okay to have those feelings. Like it's so important, because there are so many people out there who want to have that competition mindset, and B and I are very, very passionate about community over competition. And I think that has to happen on every level. That has to be your community, your mods, your streamer friends, and anyone you're interacting with. Like everyone's really got to be in that minutia of like, we are a community. My success will in turn be your success, because that is really truly how it is. And anyone who doesn't feel that way,
you gotta go.
Them in my life. You gotta go.
And it's like too, it's very much also like something that I think people need to talk about more is like, it is totally okay to be extremely happy and so proud of your friends, but also have that little twinge of like, why isn't it me? But it's nothing against them. It's all like internal, like, what am I doing? Why am I not seeing the same thing? And that's totally normal too, to be like, I'm so proud of you. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, like, as long as you're not taking that out on them, those are totally normal human feelings.
Yes, and I feel like, a lot of times people feel like they can only be like, they're not that. A lot of I think balance is the theme of this podcast.
Of everything we talked about today, yes.
Yes, so just finding that balance too, but knowing it's okay to have those feelings, as long as, again, you're not faulting your friend for their success. You're just like, well, why? What is wrong with me? And that's usually what it turns to me, is like, I'm so proud of you. What is wrong with me? What am I not doing?
Yeah. Yes, it's hard, but it's human to have those feelings and those like frustrations, even just to like see with everything that has happened, sometimes my brain has a hard time with like, well, there are some people who aren't seeing drops in numbers. Most are, but my evil little brain, the little like mean guy up there is like, but what about those people who aren't, and what are they doing that's so
Yep.
special? You know? And they're not.
Mhm.
They just, it has to do with um, the fluctuations in viewership, but like potentially their particular community for whatever reason
Right.
is still
Oh, and
on
just
Twitch, is still engaging, and that's probably
mhm.
not really anything that particularly they did, and it's not really anything particularly that we did. It's just, it is what
Mhm.
it is. But our little, there's a big difference between like my wise mind up here who knows, and the little like
Your higher
grumpy.
self and the ego,
Yeah.
just constantly in a battle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my higher self, I don't know her. Where is she?
Oh, you are brilliant. I don't want to hear that. I think you have a very, very wise mind. I think sometimes those of us with
Yeah.
the wisest of minds struggle the most because we have a very
I
great
there was something.
self-awareness of like
Hmm.
Mhm.
it's almost as if I meet more cool people on Twitch and I struggle more sometimes because I'm aware so much that like it is also, sometimes I become too aware that it's all so random and so like that there's very little in your control.
Yep.
And then I'm like, okay, too far, too far. We've gone too far
Downward
down this
spiral.
rabbit hole. Mhm.
Absolutely. And like, I don't know why I was wanting to talk about this, but like one thing back to like setting up like time and everything is like, does anyone else like have this like ideal of this is what I want my morning routine to be?
Mhm.
These are the things I want to do, and then like having no energy to put it into practice. And it's like, I have a beautiful plan. I have this all worked out. I know if I woke up and read some tarot and maybe journaled and drank my coffee before I got on the road to work, I'd have such a better day. But like, does it happen? No. Has it happened once? No. I know it'd be good for me, but
All of the time, in all of the ways, morning routines,
Hmm.
night routines,
yeah,
streaming, all of the
yeah.
things. It's like
Mm,
it,
yeah.
yeah. Yes. The answer to your question is
Mhm.
yes, that does happen.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
and I know
agree.
I think I saw Ashlina was talking about it too. Like instead of the body positivity movement, the body acceptance movement, where
Sure.
it's like you don't have to love yourself and every part of yourself all the time. You just have to accept
Mhm.
this is where I'm at, this is what I am.
Neutrality.
And I'm like, that is so huge because I don't frankly like myself a lot of the times. Like, we're not friends. My body and my mind, we are not on good terms most of the time. And so, like, that was a huge thing that I'm trying to focus on too is like finding a style that makes me happy. Like, this is like how I want to dress. Like, this is everything. Like,
So
trying,
cute.
thank you. It's a romper. I've wanted a romper for like 15 years, it feels like. And I finally found one that like I liked. And so trying to find a style that brings me joy and trying to find, just things that, again, it goes back to the finding myself, finding out who am I? Who am I at almost 32 years old? Not the little girl that I used to be, taking elements from her and what she wanted, but like also like trying to strip away, okay, I started this thing because of this person. Like, is this something I truly enjoy, or did I just adopt this to be in a relationship or to have a friendship with this person, and like stripping that away and trying to find out who is me, who is me.
That I would really like to know, Kate, like what are some of the ways that it sounds like fashion is one way that you maybe kind of express yourself and try to figure out exactly what your style is and who you are. What are your favorite ways to do that and express yourself?
Like right now, like I'm trying to learn makeup. Like I've
Ooh.
always wanted to have like these beautiful blended eye makeup like looks, and like So I'm starting to try and teach myself that a little bit more. I've always loved winged liner, and I'm finally getting like okay with some wings here. Another thing is like I'm thinking about getting a tattoo, which is like huge for me. Like who is this person? Like I was like, you know what? I think getting like a sternum tattoo would be super cute. That way, like it's for me and my partner, and like it just makes me happy, you know?
Mhm.
And like looking at designs, I also totally bought like a fake nose ring to wear to see
Yeah.
if I like the idea of a nose ring, and I think I do.
It
Um,
looks so good. I
Thank
love it.
you. So until I'm working remotely completely, I'm like, I'm not actually going to pull the trigger on the real thing because I have to wear a mask 8 hours a day, and that's just
Mhm.
infection
Especially if you're healing.
not
Yeah.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll just get a cute little fake one, see how she feels, and I
Mhm.
kind of like it, you know. So just trying to figure out like what my parents put on me. What is the image of their daughter that they tried to mold me into being,
Oh
and
yeah.
you know what part of that is real, what part of that was pushed on me. So that's again going back to the trying different things. Like I drew something for the first time, and it was really 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 fun, and like I really like the idea of art and being able to express myself, and I love music. Music has always been such a huge passion of mine, and like I played clarinet, and so I'm planning on getting my clarinet tuned up because it's been in storage for a long time. And maybe learning like playing that live at some point, being like, we're relearning clarinet, or we're gonna play some ukulele because I have like, I don't know, just trying to find anything that sparks joy. And like,
Mhm.
yeah, music is a big one. And then fashion, again, we talked about a little bit. I've had hand me down clothes for a long time. Like my mother or grandmother would give me something, and I would just take it because a sentimental reason, I think, is part of it.
Mhm.
Like it's theirs, but also like not having the funds to maybe buy the things that I want. And then I'm wearing clothes that don't fit my personality at all. Or
Mm.
I'm wearing them. A big one for me is wearing them just because it fits.
Mhm.
That's a
Yeah.
huge one for me. Is I like some of the maternity tops that I had, which are cute. Don't get me wrong, they were super cute. I made sure I had some cute, super cute maternity clothes, but like I'm still wearing them because they still fit. Or I'm still wearing nursing bras because they
Mhm.
don't have underwire and they are comfy as heck. But like,
Heck
no,
underwire.
I know. I was like, I'm looking at some of Torrid stuff, and they have some like cutesy bras, and I'm like, I need to learn that it's okay to spend money on myself. That's another
Mhm.
huge one. I will drop money on my friends, on my family, on my baby all day, every day. Thinking about buying something for myself. Oh my God. Like, I'll buy it, you buy it, and then I immediately have buyer's remorse. Like, it could be $30, and I'm like, why did you do that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, mild panic attack of, can I return it?
No, returning it. You deserve it, but I get what
Yeah.
you. I understand what you mean.
You
It's hard.
deserve nice things. You deserve
Mhm.
good things.
That's
Yes.
I'm also trying to do affirmations in the morning on my drive to
Mm.
work. That's been kind of nice, spending that hour like going through and doing like a bunch of self-esteem, positivity ones. The therapist I'm actually specifically going to is for self-love and self-esteem, and essentially learning how to date yourself and like being whole. And so I'm really excited for that journey. And everything. She shared some really good tips for anxiety that I'm totally going to share with you all because
Of
I'm
course.
paying
Please,
for it. Why shouldn't I share with other people? Like this
please
really was
do.
like mind blowing for me. One of the things my anxiety manifests in leg shaking. I am a leg shaker, like so badly that someone in the office one day was like, "Man, this floor could really put you to sleep with it shaking." And I'm like, "It's me." And
Oops.
they were like, "What do you mean it's you?" And I'm like, I back up and I show them like both my legs are just like, I was just, they were like, "I'm so sorry." But they were saying essentially to kind of help that is like go and tense every single muscle in your body and breathe in, and then release your body and like breathe out through your mouth like when you do it. And like that is like And like even just watching her do it gave me relief from my anxiety.
It's like a reset almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you're in that moment of shaking and having to put it out. So then you just kind of just breathe in and then make your exhale longer and just kind of like let that energy out that way. And they were like, if you don't want to do that in public, you could even just do it with like the muscle group that you're moving. So like you could just tense your legs and then release your legs the same way if you don't want to just like in your cubicle or whatever. I was like, that was huge. Because like, of course, when someone mentions the like shaking, I try my hardest to stop it, which makes me do it even more, which makes my anxiety go up even more. Because I'm like, shake like, oh wait, I can't do that. Shake like, can't do that. So like, that was a huge help. And then another thing was if you're in full blown like upsetty spaghetti mode, you can actually go and like dunk your face in cold water.
Yeah.
So like going face down into the cold water, and what happens is essentially your body reacts like you're diving into frozen water, and it instantly drops your heart rate to conserve energy. So like if you were just overwhelmed and just going through it, like you can do that, and it helps lower down that heart rate.
It's a grounding technique.
Yes, and if you can't like shove your whole face in water, which I can't do at work, you can go and like splash your face with cold water, and it kind of does the same thing.
Yeah, you have to get grounded
These are great.
sometimes. Like touch grass is like a goofy joke sometimes, but also like literally if
Like
if
real.
you feel
real.
upsetty spaghetti and like you don't like something that happens to me is sometimes is I just feel very like foggy when I'm not having a good time, and so like sometimes I just need to like go outside, like take off my shoes, connect back to the fact that like this is a body, I am a human, I am here. Like these bigger questions, these bigger things are sometimes very overwhelming, and so sometimes to just reconnect with the fact that I'm just like a glob of stardust on this earth is really important.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Those are helpful. Thank you for sharing those, Kate. I'm also have anxiety, and like I'm always looking for any little way to reset, because that's really usually all it takes is just like, okay, just a second, clear everything. I am okay. Let's continue from here.
Yeah.
So those are really, really helpful.
Sometimes,
another big one. Go ahead. I'm sorry, B.
oh no, I was just gonna say sometimes it's just that we don't feel like we have the space to reset, and
Take a
so
minute.
having these little things, it's just like you always have a minute. I always heckle people when they tell me like, I'm really really overwhelmed, and I'm like, take 5 minutes. No, I don't have five. You always have 5 minutes. There is like, unless someone is like 911, life threatening illness, in this exact moment, you have 2 minutes for yourself to just. And if someone is making you feel like you don't, like someone in your life, your supervisor, your family is making you feel like you don't have 2 seconds to give yourself, they're the problem, not you.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you have to take a minute at a time, like if you don't have a full 5 minutes, you can even split it up into 30 seconds. I'm going to take one deep breath in, one deep breath out, do this next thing, and then take another minute to pause. Another thing I do, since I work in like a customer service type thing, is usually if I finish a call specifically, if it's a really bad one, and you could do this anytime, like even working in service industry face to face, like take your hands, rub them together, and be like, all right, I'm shaking off all that bad energy, I'm giving it back to that person, and then go on to the next call. Just
Sometimes
shaking that off.
Sometimes it's the tiniest of things. We just forget. We get so into the rotation of life that we just forget.
Yeah, and like there was something I was gonna say. That's another thing. Any prospective parents out there, memory gone. I can literally be mid-sentence and hear a noise, and it just poop, and my partner will be like, "You were just talking," and I'm like, "I know, but it's gone. It's gone." What I was gonna, he's like, "It was 30 seconds. It's gone."
Yep.
Oh, if I don't like write a reminder put an alarm, write it down physically, and like do one other thing, I won't remember an appointment. That's why like, I literally messaged you. I was like, "It's Sunday, right?"
Yes. Mhm.
So that's when we're doing this thing, like, right?
Yes. No, I understand. I get that way. Even just being like neurodivergent, I feel like I will
Yeah.
lose the thought in the middle of the thought, and I've just gotten to a point where I just only befriend people who won't get mad at me if I'm like in the middle of talking and I'm just like, nope, it's gone.
Yep.
It'll come back sometime, but it's gone for
Maybe.
right now. Let's just move on.
Absolutely.
Streamer brain. I don't know who let me decide
Mhm.
to become a content creator when I can't hold a single train of thought for
Streamer brain is real.
2 minutes.
It is. Streamer brain plus mom brain. Oh my gosh. I literally have a mom brain emote. Hold on.
Oh
Let
my
me
god.
let me
Wait,
just
I'm
Please tell
send this.
me.
ready. I'm
Hold
ready.
on. Where are we? It's like I haven't been on in so long. It's like, wait a minute. Where's your There you go. There's my mom brain.
Oh
Oh,
my
that's so
gosh,
cute.
yes. I love that.
I love
I love
it.
that for you. Oh, I mean, I don't love mom brain, but I love that.
But
I,
it's
I, I,
true.
I love that you've just owned it, you know?
Yeah, it's just me.
I love that.
Part of my they say that when you give birth, part of your brain cells go to the baby. That's it.
It makes sense.
They take your brain cells and like I'm just like, man, do I want another one? Like I'm already struggling, so
do
can
I
I
have
afford to lose another half?
do I have any more to give to them? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Ay 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 ay. That's a lot. I'm not prepared, but one day I'll deal with it.
I got
Cross
you.
that
Like
bridge when
any
we get to it.
questions, let's go.
Let's
Like
go.
I am a wealth of knowledge and I yeah. Definitely I do think I'm gonna start that podcast. I'm gonna like start planning that, getting it ready to go because
The
it
nice
is
thing about podcast content is that you don't have to be like physically perceived, so you could be like
yeah.
comfy in your PJs, like relaxing and just chatting, which is cool.
hmm That's another thing to talk about with content creation though, is like I'm glad to see it changing some that more people are willing to show up less than
Mm.
perfect.
Mm.
I think that's such a cool movement. Like, because me personally, like showing up on stream without makeup is hard for me because
Yeah.
I've always had really terrible skin, and so I was taught at a young age, cover it up, like all of that stuff. And so seeing more people be like, "Yep, nope, I'm in my PJs, my hair's in a messy bun, like this is just me. This is what we're doing." That is so empowering to me because I do feel like again it used to be very much a present this perfect version of
Mm.
yourself, this entertainment or entertainer mode, and so seeing it change has been really cool.
I think the prioritization of sustainability has increased, which has been really nice. Like, this is something that I will preach about to the end of the earth. That, like, if there is something that people are making you feel like you have to do it in order to be successful, but that is going to be the thing that is going to prevent you from either ever going live or, like, being able to continue
Yeah.
this journey, don't
Mhm.
do it. Like, literally anything. Sometimes people are like, what about this be? I do not care. Anything. Because if this is something that you love and something that somebody else is telling you is a requirement, is keeping you from being able to do what you want to do, or for it to be something you can do in the long term, then that, I mean, is obviously.
Yeah.
And it's a very weird time on Twitch. Like, we are seeing so many people leave the platform right now. And I think part of that has to do with people feeling like one thing I said to everyone on Twitter was like, if you're ready to be done on Twitch, that's fine. But I see so many people who are like, oh, well, like the world's reopening, and so I can't stream 4 days a week anymore for 3 hours because the expectations around me are different and the things I want to do. You don't have to quit just because you can't do exactly what you were doing during a global pandemic. Like,
Yeah.
that's, you're asking yourself to meet a standard that simply doesn't align anymore with your reality. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's like a really mean way to talk to yourself, and like like a kind of
Yeah.
unfair expectation to put on yourself.
Absolutely. And that's like going back to finding time. It's like right now I'm down to one stream a week because I know I can't do the two late night streams right now.
Mhm.
It's just I don't have the energy. And so where I was like, well, I am a late night streamer right now, but I'm looking at maybe trying to do
Mhm.
morning streams. Like
Yeah.
if I can make myself get up and stream from like 5:30 to 6:30 or something, even just doing an hour in the mornings,
Mhm.
like, hey, come start your morning with me. Let's have some coffee. Let's start the day with some positivity. And then because I definitely have more energy in the mornings than I do when I'm home from work.
Yeah.
Or even if I do get to come work at home remotely, maybe I could do an hour stream on my lunch break. I'm already here, so unfortunately, a lot of this, of course, is pending on the maybe getting to come home one day. Um, so, but like, I'm trying to think of different ways to fit my lifestyle now instead of, oh, I'm not hitting my 3 days. I'm like, well, right now, maybe let's just do Saturdays, and maybe I'm gonna try to do some edited content on YouTube because at least then I can record super late at night. I don't have to have a camera on. If I mess up, I can edit it out, and then edit that and then be able to have maybe 2 YouTube videos up plus a stream on Saturday because right now the live portion of it is just not going to fit for me.
Mhm.
And I think that's a big thing, realizing it's okay to change your content plan.
It is. It is. And
It'd
I,
be.
there's no shame in doing what works for you. Like I always try to encourage people, like if you want to stream one day a week, if you want to stream just for fun, if you want to try something new, like just do it. You know, you don't have to put all this pressure and all these rules on yourself
Yes.
that
Yes.
other people are doing, you know, like your situation is probably entirely different from theirs, so there's no way you're going to put out the same content.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so like it trickles in a way you don't even realize sometimes.
It
This is
does.
why self reflection is so important and breaks because it trickles in ways you don't even realize you're holding
It's
yourself
on
to
that
certain
subconscious level.
expectations that you have been taught. Like, I am
Mhm.
so grateful to slowly be finding my people and surrounding myself with people who are teaching me through their action. They're not doing anything. They're just being themselves. They're just existing in my space.
Yeah.
But as they do it, I'm like, oh, wait, B, you actually are setting yourself up for some certain expectations that you didn't even
Mhm.
realize you were doing. Like,
Yeah.
I saw my friend the other day. She has done a couple like morning streams, 30 minutes, just like while she's getting ready, doing her makeup,
Yeah.
just drinking her coffee, and then, they will just hop off. And it's like, I know logically that I could do that, and yet I will still be like, oh, well, if I don't have at least 2 hours, no stream.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like,
I would love a get ready with B stream. Let's go. That would be adorable.
yeah, so I'm trying to unpack some of that stuff and some of those like expectations that I've unintentionally set for myself.
And it goes back to numbers of us looking at people's success. But of course, again, like one thing that I think is very important is to go and do that self-reflection and try to define what does success look like to you.
Yeah.
What is your version of a success? Is it this version that other people have told you is success? Is it, having a house? Is it paying your bills with Twitch? Is it what is your version of success? My version of success, I boiled it down to, is if I can make one person smile, even if that person is me, it's a successful stream.
Love that.
Well, and you have done that every time you've ever gone live in your entire life, Kay. I hope you know that.
I'm smiling right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, success. Let's
You bring smiles everywhere you go.
And then another thing I recently started doing that I think is pretty cool is we have a sub jar now.
Ooh.
And so when people sub, and this is like purely for myself, I put a bead of their choice into this jar, and I'm going to keep using it for the entirety of my streaming journey because used to I would write names on like a bulletin board, but then I'd have to get rid of it at the end of the month because space ran out. And I'm like, if looking at this jar, when I've had a really hard day, like it means that there's a person in here that's life I impacted enough for them to sub, which that's a huge deal, like to me, like that. And so having this little jar and getting to see it like slowly fill up. Like I can look over and say that was a happy moment. That was joy. That was something good. Like it's a physical representation to me of the good that I've done, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so that makes me
Beautiful.
happy.
Yes, as it
I got
should.
it sitting right here so I can see it anywhere I'm at in the living room. I can look over and see this jar and be like, "Yep, we did good. You're good."
Indeed.
I
You are.
love the idea of a physical representation of your space and your community and
Mhm.
the time that you've shared with others, because I think that it's so easy to, it's all happening virtually a lot of the
Well,
time, and
and
it's
you
like it's
get
easy to just let that go out the window. But it's like, look at
mhm.
these people wanted to sit in a room and play video games with me or talk with me or share their
Yeah,
time with
It's
me, and
sometimes also so
it
hard to
means a lot.
see like how far you've come.
and you
Hmm.
get desensitized. That's another thing I think a lot of people don't talk about. It's like in the beginning, two people is huge to you. But then
Yes.
you unfortunately like get desensitized to these numbers, and like it happens on Twitter. If you're like, I usually get around 30 likes on a post, and that's like my sign it was a good post. And like if something goes below that, you're like, oh God, what did I do?
That
But like
number changes over time, and
30,
you.
yeah, 30 is huge.
Mhm.
One is huge. You impacted someone enough to literally make them move their finger and click a button. That is huge. Like, and that's something I think a lot of people don't talk about is like numbers do scale, but also like being able to take that step back. And that's why I have that. Like, I look in that, I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of people,
Yeah.
or like if you try to go and imagine, okay, if I had 5 other people in this room with me, this room is suddenly small.
Hmm.
And that's a lot. So I think that's another thing. And more people are talking about it now than they used to, but like getting used to, yes, your number of success is going to scale. That's why it's really better for you to base your success on non-number type things. So
Mhm.
again, it's did you have fun? Did you laugh? Did you enjoy yourself? Versus were there my normal number of people here with me?
Yeah.
So like there was one stream I had a blast playing Pokemon Snap. Like, oh my gosh, it is the most fun game. And like seeing Pokemon just be super cute. Are you going for your nap? I'm gonna push my baby real quick.
No, of
Yeah.
course. All the smooches.
All the pictures. Also, I see there's Pokemon behind the chair, and that's funny.
Uh-huh.
Yes, those
Pokemon
are
plushies.
his.
Oh.
He is in love with Pokemon. He has a giant Pikachu that is as big as he is that he likes to wrestle.
Goals.
Love it, love it. And then this is my favorite right here. This is my Eevee.
Yeah.
This is sweet little sleeping Eevee.
So
Um,
cute.
but I played Pokemon Snap, and it like was so much fun. I love seeing the Pokemon like in their natural habitat, um, reacting and being cute. And like I looked at the numbers afterwards, and I was like, wow, we had a lot less people than usual, but like it didn't matter because I was having a heckin' blast.
One piece of
I-
advice I always give to not smaller, but like honestly anyone, is if you need to look at your numbers for any reason, which we do sometimes, or we just want to and we can't resist the temptation and meh, 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 is to one thing that fundamentally changed my ability to like process that information in a more healthy way was to make an assessment about how I felt the stream went before I look at those numbers.
mhm.
Hmm.
And in that way, if I'm going into it, I am looking at it with this mindset of already like I had a good time. This conversation
Yeah,
was really nice, and I'm grateful that it happened. Like,
yeah.
I'm already in a way better headspace to process that information, and I'm not then letting those numbers be the definition of whether or not that stream was a success.
Absolutely. And that's a thing too. And I know a lot of people talk about it. Play what you want. I know it's hard. I struggled with it quite a bit of what does my community want? What do they want to see? And like,
It's realizing they
again,
want to see you happy.
yes.
Hmm.
And then also going back to balance of, play some
Mhm.
stuff they like, but also do what you want to do. Like, do you like playing Sims, but you're more of a builder? Your community likes Sims, but then build, make some kind of build challenge, do something like that. When I toured shells, that was probably one of the most favorite streams I did. I created a shell challenge, and went and watched, like, looked at these creations that the community made, and that was such a beautiful moment of like me getting to squee over how amazing they are and giving them like a giant boost, hopefully, of confidence.
Serotonin boost.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it was really cool because I was like, I built this thing and you all took time and you made it pretty, and like that was like really cool, finding the balance between what do you like, what does your community like to see, and like kind of merging the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know if I started playing something off the wall, they'd probably be like, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
If I was like, "I'm a DVD streamer now," they'd be like, "Excuse me, what?"
I would
Would like to
support
play
you.
it. I will
I would
support
support you whenever you want to do.
Yes, I've done it.
Anytime.
We've done some. We've done Kayt After Dark streams on my old
Yes.
channel before,
it.
where
Oh,
like
fun.
we had some alcohol and like I usually don't cuss on stream, but like it was like that's thrown out the window. I was like, your kiddos cannot watch this one, friends. Like this is Kayt After Dark.
That's
Like
so valid. Sometimes we just need to exist as we are that day, you know?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Well, our time is wrapping up here. I think I have one last question I'd like to ask you.
Yeah.
Give you some space for one more little moment together. Something that I've seen across everything you've said about being a content creator, about being a mom, being a partner, being Kayt, is that there's been a lot of self discovery, self exploration. It has been quite a journey for you, and continues to be quite a journey for you. And so I want to ask you, if you could give past Kayt one piece of advice, what would you
Oh,
tell her?
oh gosh, now you're making me do the inner child work like live on stream. Ugh.
Mhm.
And that's a big thing that I'm doing, is trying to get a lot of inner child work of I did a meditation for a full moon a couple like months ago, and it literally was an inner child meditation where you picture yourself at like age 8 on a playground playing, having a good time, picturing what you're wearing, seeing yourself in the sun. But then you see yourself go sit on a bench and you're sitting by yourself and you're looking really sad, you're looking really forlorn. And then you insert yourself now into that vision and you go up to your past self and you sit by them and you tell them that it's okay. It's okay to be you. It's okay to feel. It's okay to dream. And then like it had you give your like younger self a hug, and like I lost it. I'm sobbing. I'm tearing up now thinking about it, and like then kind of like sitting back and like looking at your younger self, seeing them smile, seeing that joy, seeing that pureness that the world goes and steals from us so often, even if we try not to let it, and then like saying, no, go have fun, and then watch yourself run off to go play. Like, oh my god, like it was so magical. And that's really what I would tell like younger me, is like don't let so many people dictate who you are. It's
That's
okay
beautiful.
to be you. And like, yeah.
I hope current Kayt knows that too.
She's working on it.
You're doing great.
You're doing
Yeah.
incredible.
Well, you both are doing incredible too. Heck, you're lovely. I've had such a good time here with you both.
I'm glad.
This is wonderful.
I've had lots of goosebumps and lots of just little like I don't know, feeling the feelings in my body. Even when the words don't necessarily always come out perfect, I feel it every Sunday, just like in the way that I leave this space feeling rejuvenated is just beautiful.
Yeah.
You're asking. I met you on Twitter. You know, obviously we've never been able to have a face-to-face conversation like this, and you are as absolutely immaculate as I could have ever expected. Just so you know.
Aw, thank you. And I can't wait until one day, like, the world is a little bit better and I can, like, come and consensually hug all of these amazing beings. I am a hugger. And so, like, this has been the hardest year and a half, 2 years of my life that I can't, like, hug the people I love or appreciate.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, yes. Twitch will do that to you. All these online, it'll connect you to the most beautiful humans
yes.
in the world and then torture you with your inability to like squeeze
With the
them.
distance.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing this space with us. And Joopy, thank you for being a trooper and rallying. You haven't even unpacked your house yet. We're using the iPad, like doing the damn thing.
We made
Appreciate
it
you.
work. Thank you for
Always.
dealing with my iPad stream.
Thank you
Uh,
both so much for having me and wanting me to be here. It was very special.
oh my
It was special.
goodness. I
Thank you,
loved it
Kate. Thank you
so
for
much.
sharing space with us. It was
Yeah.
wonderful. I really learned so much, and I can't wait for your podcast. I'll be looking out for it.
Yes, let's
Yes.
do it.
We'll be holding you accountable. We'll be like, where's Kate? Where's
You're
this
like, hey,
podcast?
you said you were gonna do this thing. Are you doing it? Have you started? Let's go.
Exactly. Exactly. Let me go
Yes.
find someone we can say hello to and send this beautiful energy onto. Just for my people to know, when you see the go live notification again in like 30 minutes, it's not a lie. I will be here again. Um, my mods, some of them are actually here in town. They might be in my living room, unclear. I don't know if they're here yet. And so
Yay.
we're just gonna like set up some chairs and whatever, and have a little shindig so you all can enjoy the chaos that is us.
I'll have so much
That's
fun,
so
Kate. I'm so excited for
fun.
It
you.
is very exciting. Okay,
So much fun.
I found a very good bean. Let's see if OBS cooperates with me on yes, and also as I always say, as I'm setting up this raid, someone just did the guest command, or it conveniently came out at the right time. But if you enjoyed the energy of, oh no, okay, if you enjoyed the energy of today, Kate is a content creator. She does stream. She has her whole own platform. So if you want to enjoy her space when she's in it, hi baby, look at your little baby in the corner there.
Oh, I didn't even see him. Hi, Cass.
If you want to enjoy her space outside of this show that we do, then you absolutely are more than welcome. Her link is there. And the wonderful Joopy also is a content creator and does their thing over on their channel. Very cozy space and absolutely wonderful human being as well. And we host everything over here, but I always like to remind everyone that Joopy does just as much work behind the scenes. So send them some love for me as